So funny. Oh, so all I can do is laugh because YouTube finally decided that it was. Uh, I was after 90 days. I'm now worthy of streaming live again on YouTube. I'm such a happy camper. So, can you hear me, Joe? Irish Joe? Let me see if is my audio working. Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. So this is kind of funny because let me bring up this. I I can't help but laugh because um, YouTube finally reinstated my. See if I can adjust this. Camera thing. Sorry. There we go. Is that working? I have to retrain myself how to do this because it's so funny because I don't know, I just get the biggest kick out of this. I'm sad and I'm sad and funny and happy at the same time because I just I'm sad because Barrett they have redone their requirements for partnership. Irish Joe says he is funny. Uh, YouTube apparently. I saw Barrett's video today. If you haven't seen Barrett, hopefully you subscribe to Insane Drummer 89, my son. I felt so sorry. I actually cried for him today. I love my sons a bunch, and I want to see them do well. They both do well, right? But as a dad, you always want to see them do better. Excuse me. This wintry weather has got me a little bit stopped up. How many windows are you going to open? I'm just going to open. I have to get them. What's it doing? Oh, I see. It's doing that barbershop effect. Um, but I guess if I change the window, that would help. Let's go to YouTube. I'm so I'm sorry. I'm being so sarcastic in the title. Praise Allah and YouTube for. I just want to thank YouTube. I just want to get down on my knees and bow to them and praise the YouTube gods because they are allowing me once again to be a human being. I wasn't human all that time. That 90 days they banned me from live streaming because of what? Nobody knew why I was banned from live streaming. Why I got a strike on my channel. Nobody knows. Let's see. Where am I going? I'm trying to get back to the chat so I can read it. So what window should I leave it on? I know it's annoying to see the barbershop effect with all the mirrors, but YouTube had banned me from live streaming for no reason. I mean, I know the reason because their little algorithm has a little variable that they click that the YouTube millennials clique that they've hired. Say, I'm trying to get my little webcam fixed. But YouTube, they've hired all these different. Allah isn't an Egyptian god. He's a Christian and Jewish. Okay, we'll show that. It's been so long. I'm having to retrain myself. YouTube should ban the Tide Pod. It's just so funny. I can't. It's not funny, and it's funny at the same time because they never gave me a reason why they banned me from live streaming, or why they gave me a strike. I sent them, and this is why, I'm in that sort of weird zone. Yeah, Cam is smart. Cam is smart. He pretends he's a liberal, and they never catch on. You see, if I was that smart, I would probably have a lot more money than I do. But I just can't get over the fact that YouTube, I sent them plenty of, and this is the thing, if you're making money for YouTube, they won't bother you. But if you're like me, a redneck from Tennessee who maybe has a point, who maybe striking at the heart of the devil, with his sword that they don't like, and the YouTube millennials sit around and think of ways to change the algorithm. There's a variable in their algorithm just for Artist and Tony, is that it's somewhere down along the lines of like line 3000, one on the code says, does this video, was it produced by Artist and Tony, yes or no? And so if it's yes, it's automatically demonetized, and I have to request that every video be, no matter what it is, like, let's just go look for the fun of it. Let's go look at Artist and Tony's history. I'm going to take you deep dark into my channel. And yes, there's my guru, Sadhguru. He's my guru. Let's go to the Creator Studio. There's my two top three channels. Insane Drummer 89. And look, I'm exposing something here. I did I may laugh this entire video, or this entire live stream, because I do all these behind the scenes pokes at YouTube. Like this video here is why robots and Hispanics will never take over North America, and it's a rant. And see, they haven't monetized it. Because I haven't made it public yet. But it's a rant on why robots will never take over, and it's because humans can't create something smarter than themselves, and it's also sort of gives advice to the Hispanic guys in the construction industry to am I still in frame? All I care about is if my pretty face is in the frame. That's all I care about. Is that, the reason Hispanics are not, and I may make this, I don't know. It's private right now, but I was trying to decide whether I wanted my second strike or not. And if I want 2 strikes, I'll release this video. If I just want to remain with 1 strike, I'll just leave it. I may just go ahead. But the reason I may wait is because I haven't got my website up yet, where I'm going to start placing most of my videos after YouTube finally bans me. So anyway, here's Barrett's video. Oh, that's the one I did. Let's go down. Here we go. The Yankee Marshal leftist, why no pushback? See, this video, I'm getting text now. Watch it be from 10 Outdoors 9. Why are you acting crazy online? Oh, Alex's high school's open 2 hours late tomorrow. We had snow, so now I'm getting all this background feedback, and losing my focus. Let me go back to the comments. I just thought it'd be funny to celebrate. Here we go. How satisfied are you with streaming on YouTube? This is the funniest thing. They banned me for 90 days, and now they want me to say, oh, I'm very satisfied. No, I'm very unsatisfied, sorry. So we'll just click that and go away. Let's see, let's look at the comments. YouTube is now in the business of controlling speech and brainwashing youngsters. You know what? I was just talking to Barrett about this and Alex the other day. Pretty sure they blacklisted you back when you supported Trump. Yeah, you know what they did, Cam, when I started supporting Trump. Again, I'm all stopped up. Excuse me. 10 months before he was elected, because I knew he would kick Hillary's butt. I mean, literally. And I caught a lot of crap for that in my videos. And maybe I did kind of get on the radar at that time. Let's see, shut him down. But, and I actually bet Yankee Marshall $10. I had him in a, as a matter of fact, that hangout kind of gained some views after Yankee Marshall made his video slamming Iraq vet, Eric 8888, who is a real shooter, who is, am I still live? Because now I'm getting this weird thing going on. Yeah. Back when Yankee made his video bashing Eric, that's especially when I started getting some pushback. Act like PewDiePie. Well, now I've actually watched. I think PewDiePie is kind of funny. And I think if PewDiePie was really honest, I think PewDiePie is probably more of a libertarian than YouTube likes. And he's another person they probably struggle with, as far as whether to, ban permanently or not, because I'm sure he's making them very much money. I'm trying to hide this. Can you see this poll thing down here on the right hand corner? Close. How satisfied are you with the live streaming? It's like I can't get rid of it until I click very satisfied. Okay, I'll click very satisfied, see what happens. Nope, it won't go away. So it's kind of funny. I don't know, I'm just getting a big kick out of the whole thing that YouTube has finally decided to allow me to come back to their awe-inspiring presence. Who had a question? Who was it? Had brought up a good point earlier. Brainwashing youngsters, PRF. Yes, now this is going to get me banned for sure. But if I go to YouTube and I go to trending, then trending is like the editorial page for YouTube, right? This is what it's like the editorial page of a newspaper, right? if YouTube wants their they want to get their politics across, this is where it will be. And so you go to this, and you'll see this youngster who's struggling with being a young man, right? So I better not even go there because that's going to get me banned quicker than I want. Let me go back to questions. Crud. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having to retrain myself. Creator Studio. My gosh, it's actually difficult to get to where you're live streaming. There we go. So anyway, I just thought it was funny. I think the whole thing's kind of funny. Did I screw up? Oh, here we go. How many people are watching? 0. 6 watching. Anybody have any questions? I was trying to, one of the things that I wish I could get rid of this. I feel like YouTube is trolling me, but I felt bad today because I saw Barrett's video where, they're basically changing the requirements of being a partner. And Barrett had created this really cool website, and he has these drum lessons all, he'd worked so hard, and then all of a sudden, YouTube comes up with these new requirements for being a partner, and it just kind of, I felt so bad for him because it's just, here he's done all this work, and now it's like just it's just like a slap in the face. It's just beat me down, right? And I texted him and I said, "It's okay, son. Just keep going." Where's the text? And just try to drive the health on. Yeah, to health all on. That's just a joke. I was just trying to be funny because YouTube banned me for 90 days, and so now I guess I'm supposed to praise YouTube and all them. I'm supposed to get down on my knees and on my prayer rug and worship them for allowing me to come back and do live streaming now. It's just kind of funny. But back to Barrett, it's just kind of sad when you see your son's working so hard. Barrett working hard with his business and his websites, and then you see people like YouTube try to hold them back. It's disheartening, and maybe you guys could check out his channel, Insane Drummer 89, and send him some encouragement. Yeah. I think PewDiePie is probably one of those kind of guys that is probably more conservative or libertarian than he lets on. I think he understands the market, his audience on YouTube, and he understands YouTube very well, and he understands what he has to do to get by on YouTube. But I think he kind of also lives on the edge of what's acceptable. But honestly, I've always doubted, I don't know, starting a year ago or so, maybe more, I doubted whether YouTube as a platform for amateur video would survive very much longer. You have to remember that I'm 50. I'm an old guy. I'm 55, and I've been around since the PCs were first came on the market, and when the internet became a thing. And I remember when we still had to dial up with a phone, and we had a modem in our computer that you had to send a signal through that modem through the phone line to dial up, and it took some time to actually dial up and get connected. And I've seen this sort of evolution of of, of the internet, and how sort of derelict it has become, and how sort of, I don't know, the influence, especially on the younger generation. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The technology boom and the information, the expansion and the ability to communicate at such a fast rate has been a detriment and a benefit. So, and if you don't see that, then you probably haven't lived long enough to see the difference. And before, especially when YouTube was not a part of Google, before Google bought YouTube, and when YouTube was a startup, it was more of a user-friendly world because it had to be, right? But when it became successful, which is what these startups try to do, right? I mean, the whole goal of a startup is to create this boom of activity so that they can sell off their platform. And that's what YouTube did. It became very successful with amateur video, and people were happy with the platform. It was working well. Amateurs could do well. They could work hard, make money through AdSense. That was the dream. And now you have an atmosphere. When Google bought it, the ideology of the left was implanted into YouTube. And it was just like almost overnight that you started seeing this censorship of speech, and which is and so many people will defend that, and that's fine, but it is a thing, right? So just because it's a thing, and just because YouTube has the right, Google has the right to manage their platform, that doesn't make it any better, or any more correct, socially. And I think eventually they will pay for that. I think eventually, I don't know. It's hard to sit here and say to yourself that Google will ever have competition, real competition. It's hard to imagine that, but thankfully, we do live in a country. The problem is, it's just a country, and the internet is sort of a worldwide domain, pardon the pun, and it's going to be difficult at this point. So it's almost like it's kind of depressing, really, because you feel like the players on the internet have been established, right? That you feel like that domain, which is the internet, has already been, that territory has been claimed, so it's hard to see anybody competing with them. At this point, the internet just seems like it's not a playground anymore. It's not a sandbox. Well, if it's a sandbox, it's owned by certain people. So yeah. Patriot in the Dark says I was really impressed when it went from 28 to 56K modems. Yeah, I remember when everything was sort of two-dimensional on the internet. You know, my first computer was I'll just show you instead of just showing this weird screen. Compact luggable. I'll show you what my first computer was. There it is. That's it. Compact portable. We called them luggables for some reason. I don't remember why. Well, there's the term luggable. Yeah, it was like that keyboard fastened to the front there, and there was a handle back here, so you could lug it around, and that's where I think it got its nickname. And so you see these two drives right here. Excuse me. There was no hard drive in the first compact luggable that I had. It was only two 5 1/4 floppy drives right there. You had to load your software, which in my day was like WordPerfect and what was it, Lotus spreadsheets or whatever. You know, you had a disk for each different type of software. You would load it in one into memory, and then the other one, you know, you could record whatever documents you created. And this was a little 9-inch amber screen. Am I showing that? Yeah. And I remember I was so excited when I got WordPerfect. I was a spec writer, and I created a little database program from Fox Pro. Does anybody remember Fox Pro? No, I bet you don't. It was a database writing program that you could write basically sort of like macros. Well, you could write an executable file with it. You could compile it to an executable file. And I remember I was a spec writer at the time, and I came up with this spec writing program where I had 200 or 300 different specifications that I could just enter a spec number, and that spec number would come up, and I would enter the job number, and you know, I would just go through and compile these specs, and in the end I would save it under the job name, and I could print out a spec booklet for each project and bid it out to contractors. And that was, I just thought I was like the biggest programmer in the world. And then my next computer, I traded this one. I actually sold it, and I traded the next one. Now, all of these were used computers, okay? Because there was no way I could afford this computer new. It was like $3,000 or something. It was crazy what these computers cost brand new. But I bought them used several years later. My next one had a 20 megabyte, imagine that, a 20 megabyte hard drive in it. So I was big time. And by that time, I had the first version. If you'll go back and look up the first version of AutoCAD, had like 12 discs, I think. It had a 3 1/4. The next version had a 3 1/4 floppy drive. A 3 1/4 wasn't floppy. Was it floppy? Wasn't called floppy back then, I guess. Maybe it was. It was the 3 1/4 disc and a 20 megabyte hard drive, and you could actually load AutoCAD onto the hard drive. But that was back when AutoCAD was just a two-dimensional line drawing program, and you had the menu down the side over here, and you would draw. You know, there was no windows, there was no there was no three-dimensional aspects. You were drawing in two-dimensional. And I'm not sure how I got off on that rant. I guess, did I lose my... That's weird. I went totally away from YouTube. I lost YouTube, man. Did I get back? Let me go. Did I lose you guys on that rant? No, I didn't lose you. Good. Yeah, I remember Cam says the only old computer I remember is Windows 98 and got one when it came out. You didn't lose us. Good. But I guess my point is that, you know, somebody my age has seen the evolution of YouTube. You know, back when you could do anything, you could make any video you wanted to make and post it, and there was no censorship. No videos were flagged or, you know, demonetized or anything. And I really just want people to understand that you are looking at an evolution of YouTube when it used to be, you know, someone's idea of a platform. It wasn't an idea. There was no ideology implanted in YouTube when it first began, when it was first created. It was only a platform. It was pure, right? There was no fear of getting. I started, what year was it? 2006. Yeah. There was no fear of your videos. There was no the idea that you would create a YouTube and a video and upload it and it would be censored would have been a foreign idea. You would much rather believe, you could much believe that there were UFOs coming to Earth than you believe that before you believe that your YouTube video would get demonetized if you were a partner. And back in those days, being a YouTube partner was a big thing. They didn't let just everybody be a YouTube partner. I think you had to have, I forgot how many subscribers. They had a threshold you had to reach, so you had to work to get there. And then by that point you were kind of invested. And so I guess that's why I chuckled tonight when, it's gone from a user-based platform with no ideology to a platform that seems to be driven by ideology. In other words, you have to fit into that mold, or you're not fed subs. And I talked about this idea of shadow banning before, and I did not use the term shadow banning, but I did use terms such as subs as currency long ago, where I finally realized that subscribers are fed. This is obviously after Google bought YouTube. I suddenly was aware that subscribers were just like a currency, and they are fed to. Now I know you're going to say this is conspiracy, but I know this to be true. Okay, whatever. Okay, they are fed to people, and all you have to do is pay attention. All you have to do is study YouTube just a little bit. Each week, take your common sense and look at it. If you look at the number of subscribers I have, which is only 65,000, and you look at the number of views that I have, which is over 23 million, okay? And then you look at people who have millions, hundreds of thousands, and you look at the ratio of views to subs, and you look at the number, those numbers, and you analyze them, you will see that YouTube uses subscribers as a currency, and it's just a, I feel like that I was sort of vindicated recently when the Twitter dude was outed on how they shadow ban. And I have always maintained that YouTube does this, that when they came out with the little bell that you have to click to get notifications, and even before that, okay, before that time, they were shadow banning people. Basically, your videos were not being fed to your subscribers, okay? So anyway, this all sounds weird, and I know. I started AutoCAD in 1987. Yeah, AutoCAD. Let's see. I exited high school in 1980, and I'm pretty sure that I had a copy of AutoCAD by the year after I graduated, because the reason is because it was kind of expensive back in those days. Let's go see, when was AutoCAD? When was AutoCAD released? It was expensive back in those days. Yeah, December 1982. Okay, so I keep getting beard hairs in my mouth. Dang it! Am I still broadcasting? Sometimes I'll have trouble with my open broadcaster, so you'll see me pull it up and look at it. But I graduated high school in 1980, and my drafting teacher, who I had drafting in junior high and high school because I always wanted to be an architect, okay? But I wanted to build things more, so I went into a building trade school when I was in high school because I always knew I wanted to build things, right? And anyway, my drafting teacher got a hold of a copy because of his status as a teacher of, it was like a 12-disc release of AutoCAD. I'm pretty sure it was 12 or 14, whatever discs, 3.5 inch, or whatever that size was, 3.25. It was the size of floppy they came out with after the 5.25. And he gave me a copy to load on my compact luggable, my compact portable. And so, which I think was the coolest software of all time. And that's when I started my sort of combined career as a draftsman and a contractor at the same time, because I was intrigued with the idea of being an architect, being a designer, a design build person. Before design build was kind of a catchphrase in the construction industry. That's what I wanted to be, a person who designed the things that he built. And since my mother, God rest her soul, who was an angel and raised 3 kids by herself, could not afford to send me to architecture school at Auburn or UTK, I had to chase my dream of becoming a general contractor, which is what I really wanted to do anyway. So, but I did spend years along the way. I've been in the construction industry for 40 years. Well, 2018 will be my 40th year because I started working in the summers even before 1978. And then when we were in building trade school, we actually built 2 homes during that period. So I count that. Yeah, I count it because we were actually building things. We weren't talking about building things, we were actually doing it. And it was kind of fun. We would get on a bus. It was my day at high school was pretty busy. I would get to high school early. We would get on a bus, go to the vocational school. Then we would get our tools. We would get on another bus, go to the site, and work on our buildings that we were building, our houses. And I forgot how long we would work. It seemed like we got back, it seemed like a half a day in building trade school and half a day in high school. But I think it was more than a half a day because I remember 2 years in high school and I had to go to summer school to get enough credits to graduate because I was spending too many hours at the building trade school. I'd have to go back and verify that, but well, part of that was because I wanted to play in the band, the orchestra too, so I wanted to be able to play my trumpet and my baritone in the orchestra. So I took too many fun things in high school, so I had to go to summer school to get, I think one summer I took economics, and the next summer I took geometry or something like that. I can't remember. Oh, that's funny. Cam says he took machine shop. Learned to dipping was pretty big when I was in high school. Well, they actually had a smoke pit. Believe it or not, they had a smoke pit in high school where I don't know when they could go smoke, but they would let the. I don't know if it was sort of an unapproved smoke pit, but yeah, that was pretty popular. They had a machine shop. The vocational school I went to had building trades, which is what I took, and we learned how to lay block and brick, and framing and everything. Pretty much every building trade you could think of. Roofing, siding, trim. We pretty much built 2 homes in the 2 years that I was there, and they were sold. Maybe someday I'll take a trip and do a video. I know where I still live within 25 miles of where we built them. That would be a cool video, I think. They're probably run down because they're probably so old. But they probably have those big 10-foot satellite dishes sitting out in front of them. I don't know, it's funny. But anyway, I know I sound like an old guy, just sort of reminiscing, but I do want to sort of spread the message that there was a time when things were not so fascist on the internet. There was more freedom at one point, and this is why I was always against net neutrality, because net neutrality was not net neutrality. It was a term placed on legislation that would allow our government to become, exercise control. And I thought that was a bad idea, because back when I first started using the internet, it seemed to be like the Wild West, and you could dial up, and if you knew where to go, it was free to go there, and it was not a scary place like the dark web. It was an exciting place, and you felt like you were going to Mars when you dialed up the internet. It felt like a new place, a new place to go. And I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's so you can see after all that why I get a chuckle out of YouTube banning such a person like me who is certainly benign on YouTube and really offers no real, you know, I'm not like some great anarchist or some presence who threatens YouTube. I'm just like the average Joe, and if they can give me a strike for no reason and ban me from live streaming for 90 days for no reason, then everybody is at risk. And I would suggest very heavily that if you are invested in YouTube, mentally and spiritually and physically and financially, that you prepare yourself for the end of the platform as we know it, because it will eventually go to YouTube Red will eventually be just YouTube. It will just be a select number. It'll be like Full 30. It'll be a select number of YouTubers who are only accepted. Their content will only, there will only be a certain number of YouTubers allowed, who are good enough to make this website. And you will not be, there will be no place on the ark for you. You'll be left with the Mongols, the cave dwellers. And when the great flood comes, you'll be swimming going, oh, please let me on board. Anyway, I'm getting a little radical now. I'm getting sleepy. I get loopy. I get loopy when I get sleepy. Yes. Good Mythical Morning and Logan Paul and Jenna Marbles, all the people who have towed the line, who have not crossed the ideology barrier or requirements or criteria, parameters that are YouTube, that are Google parameters, ideology. It'll be people like Miranda Sings, who got a Netflix series, which I always thought was she was always kind of talented. What was her name? The girl that plays Miranda, very talented singer. People like her who can create content that is Netflix worthy, that kind of thing. The problem that YouTube will face going forward with that is that where Netflix and Amazon Prime are strictly driven by capitalism, which is the way it should be, Google will always be driven by ideology. This will always be their pitfall. You see, if they were completely driven by capitalism and the American way, then they could convert to a platform similar to Netflix. But because they will always want to grasp, because they can't let go of that ideology, they will always want to have control, complete control over the content. You see, so as long as they remain YouTube in their present form, I'm sure that they, in their Monday morning meetings, that they are talking about how can we become Netflix or Amazon Prime Video and also be able to present the ideology, the political message that we want to get across. And you see, you can't do that. It's very difficult to, the platforms eventually evolve into sort of a weird place that degrades, that digresses instead of progresses, because of ideology. It never fails. When you try to live within the laws of economics and free market, you'll be successful. But you find a conflict in that when you try to mix your personal or a certain ideology with open markets, free markets, and capitalism, you find a conflict there, and there will always be a conflict. And I think this is part of the internal struggle that's going on with YouTube as we speak, is that they can't decide. They really want to make money. They want to be successful, but their ideology holds them back. And that's the very reason that I scoff at them, and I labeled this video the way I did, is because of their relentless pursuit of their wretched ideology. It's just it has become funny to me, and so I thought I would celebrate becoming free again. Oh, free at last I am. I can now go back to earning strikes on YouTube. So anyway, I've about wore myself out talking, unless anybody else has any questions or comments. I have been working on, for months now, a website that I can migrate to if I do get the inevitable third strike. And hate to release that URL, that website now, because I haven't decided on the video processing software or the app, the component yet. So if people went there now and decided to have fun and register and start uploading videos, I might be changing it. So that's the only reason I'm not giving you the name. It will be good. Yeah, I was just looking at comments. So anyway, I really don't want to. The one thing I don't want to do, really honestly, is try to talk people out of creating videos. Even though I kind of joke and poke fun at YouTube about this, like I've encouraged Barrett to keep going, to shoot for that new threshold of 1,000 subscribers, and I think it's 4,000 minutes of views in the past 12 months. I think it's their new threshold for partners. To keep aiming for that, because, and one thing I've tried to teach Barrett was that, look at all these emails, that YouTube, social media is really not your home base. YouTube shouldn't be your home base, because you don't own your domain. There is no domain that you own with YouTube. If you purchase, I have artistandtony.com. Right now, I own that. I can go there and do anything I want to. I have a content management system. I can make that website anything I want. And, I may eventually have to move there permanently. Um, and nobody can change that, right? So all of your social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, should really drive people to your something that you own personally, to your personal property, your personal domain, and to really invest so much. I kind of felt sorry for some of these YouTubers when the demonetization started happening, because they had invested so much in YouTube that they didn't own, that it was kind of depressing to see them lose it. And all of that time, even then I was preaching to Barrett, please, I even bought the I don't know if it's still up, but I even bought several domains for him, like insanerhythm.com, and I said, look, we can develop these websites. You drive people to those websites. That's what you own. That's your property. YouTube can do anything they want. So my only word of advice to people starting out or trying to build YouTube channels is that don't get so invested that all of your content is there, that you don't have. I have, one of these days I'm going to do a video of all of, where's my thing? I'm going to show you all of the backup hard drives I have. These are terabyte, okay? These are not wimpy backup drives. Here's another one. Okay. See that? These are just 3 that I have laying around, okay? These are full of the content that I have created. If you get so invested, everything that you create, every piece of content that you create, you should have somewhere backed up. Either in the cloud or I have a cloud account with Amazon. I also have those backup hard drives that I can access easily. All of your content that you create should be kept away, in duplicate or triplicate backup away from YouTube. And so that, now I can go back. I have 10 years. I feel like just going back there and getting my first backup drive. It's a huge thing, you would think. And it's only like 250 megabytes on this big old box, But I can go back 10 years if I need to. And I can look at my Google Analytics and I can pick out the top 10 videos if I wanted to. And I could move those around or do whatever I want to, right? But some of these YouTubers became so invested in YouTube that they cry. They were basically torn apart. They were devastated when their livelihood was when all of that time. And this is not hindsight being 2020. All that time they should have been having something that they owned, that they were driving people to. And I know you say, well, it's easy to say now. Well, some of us old timers were preaching it back in those days. Anyway, what does 1911 USA say? Hi Tony, I wanted to thank you for sending those packs. 1911 USA won the Christmas giveaway. I need to thank Cam too for. I've been waiting to do the unboxing of the reel. I think it's a bait caster reel that I won on his channel. So I need to do that. You just reminded me. But 1911 USA says it's very frigid Well, guess how cold it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee this morning? It was like 5 degrees. Yeah, it was like New York weather up down down here. It was funny. I slid down. My driveway is, I guess it's like, it feels like it's 45 degrees at one point. And this time I parked at the bottom of my driveway, but the time it iced over before, I had parked in the garage when I had to go down that driveway, and I learned my lesson because I slid down like sideways half the way, and it was very, very traumatic. But but anyway, so I think I've talked myself out. How long have I been talking? How long have I been celebrating my reinstatement to YouTube live streaming? So anyway, I guess if I was going to summarize, I would say I would do something that seems contradictory. I would say keep going on YouTube, keep working hard at it, because YouTube is where people are. I learned the hard way when I created gunsandgearvits.com that it's not like Field of Dreams. You just can't build that baseball field and have people come to it. It's not always like if you build it they will come. Okay, so I would suggest that it's kind of a dual. It's sort of an alternate universe that you live. You work hard, you create content and upload it on a regular basis on YouTube, but you also have this alternate universe where you're working on your own property, which is your own domain on the internet, and they're cheap for $10, $12 a year, maybe even cheaper. You can buy domains, and you can use content management systems like I use, Joomla, that are easy to develop websites. It's very simple. Someday, if there's enough interest, I'll do a simple build, to show you how to do it. You should really have your own domain and your own website that you can plant your flag on. Say, this is, I own it. That's really, social media was originally designed, or the intent was to drive traffic to your property, to your domain. Only having a presence on a social media platform is not the smartest thing, and that's a lesson you have to learn the hard way. So anyway, I guess I'll end it here. If anybody has any special requests for future live streams, maybe I won't get banned again from them. If I can, I don't know. This one depends on, I guess, how many YouTube millennials they have watching me now. I read an article that said YouTube was going to hire 10,000 more millennials with the Trump tax corporate tax breaks, which I thought was rather ironic, since they bash Trump on a daily basis, or they put Trump bashing videos on the editorial page, which is the trending page, daily Trump bashing videos, that they would take their corporate savings from the corporate tax breaks and hire 10,000 millennials to do more cleaning of the interweb, their interspace. I thought that was sort of ironic, but in any event, be prepared for that. And if you have any special requests in the future, let me know. And I will see you later because I have talked myself tired, talked myself silly. See you guys.